Alright mate, how you doing? Welcome back to another episode of IMO. Now the transfer window has just closed in England, okay, and in this video I'm going to be ranking all the 20 Premier League teams based on how well they did in this window. I did the same thing last year. I'm going to be looking at how much money they spent, how good the players they got in are, who they've lost from their team, all these things and more. Let's crack on. Okay, before I continue with this video, I want to quickly talk about the Wembley Cup. Obviously, the final is really close now, this Friday, 7:30 PM at Wembley Stadium. I can't wait. If you haven't got tickets yet and you want to, there's a link in the description. But I'm also happy to announce if you couldn't make it to the game, perhaps because you're not in England or you're not available, whatever, it is going to be live streamed on this channel. You'll be able to watch the whole thing live, youtube.com/SpencerFC. So make sure you're subscribed to this channel so you see it pop up on Friday evening. Right, let's crack on with this transfer window video. Okay, in 20th place, the team I think that's had the worst window is Hull City. They've had a great start to the season, but their squad is still very, very slim. There's a lot of question marks about the way the club is going in terms of the ownership. The only real big name they've brought in is Ryan Mason. They've got Mbakani, I think, on loan. Not real game changers for me. They could still have a tough season, even though they've started well. Not looking good for Hull, though. In 19th position, I'm going with Sunderland. I think they're going to be relegation favourites again this year. I thought they were going to do better. In my predictions video, I thought they'd be safe because I thought Moyes would bring in some better signings than he has. He hasn't. Gilabodji and Jason Denayer on loan from Man City trying to shore up the defence. Yeah, they're okay, but it's not enough. And Defoe's their only real striking outlet. I'm not sure they can just rely on him again this year. I think they're going to struggle. In 18th, I'm going with Southampton. Now, they've actually signed some good players. Nathan Redmond, decent. Højbjerg, I think you pronounce it. The guy from Bayern Munich. Solid young player. They've spent a lot of money on this Boufal guy from France. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. Who cares? The problem with Southampton is the fact that they have lost the spine of their team, in my opinion. Wanyama, Graziano Pella, and of course Sadio Mane, who's gone to Liverpool. They're three awesome players, probably their best three players last year, along with maybe Shane Long and their goalkeeper Forster. So, yeah, I think they're going to struggle. I don't think they're going to get relegated, but they've had one of the worst windows for me. In 17th, I'm going with Burnley. I don't think they've had a great window either, to be honest. I think they've not really signed enough to guarantee themselves safety. Stephen Defoe, the Belgian, decent player. We don't know if he's going to adapt to Premier League football just yet, and I think they needed a little bit more to stay safe. In 16th, I'm going with Watford. Now, they've signed loads of players, and that's part of the problem. That's a lot of people that have got to gel together in not a lot of time. I don't know if it's going to work out for them this year. I think they'll probably stay in the league, but I don't think they're going to kick on from last year. I mean, Isaac Success, the striker they got, is he going to take the place of Dini Igalo? I don't think so. He adds a little bit of depth, sure. Janmat, the right back from Newcastle, solid addition. Pereira from Juventus had a good debut the other day, scoring against Arsenal, but it's a lot of players to come in, and obviously a new manager. Is it going to click for them? I would have rather seen them buy 2 or 3 big names that are going to really take them to the next level. They didn't do that. In 15th, I'm going with West Brom. They didn't lose any key personnel. They kept Hodosaido Berahino, amazing considering he's almost been linked with a move every single transfer window for like 2 or 3 years now. They bought in Nasser Chadli, which I think is a solid purchase. He always did well at Spurs when he played, but now he's going to get more game time. He could be good for them. Robson Kanu had a great Euros. How good is he though? It's hard to say. Sometimes Euro performances can be misleading. We'll talk more about that later on. So I think West Brom have done okay, but I don't think they've smashed it. In 14th place, I'm going with Swansea. Now, I actually like everyone they've brought in. Even though Leroy Fer is the perennial relegator, he keeps getting relegated with people, I still think that he'll do well for them. He's already scored some goals. Boya Baston, by all accounts, supposed to be a good Spanish striker, hasn't obviously played for them yet. Llorente is a little bit older than they would have liked, but he's a good target man. He'll do some good stuff for them. This young centre-back they've got, Mawson, don't know a lot about him, but supposed to be decent. The problem with Swansea is who they lost. They lost some key personnel. They lost Andre Ayew to West Ham. Okay, he was their top goal scorer last year. Bafétimbi Gomis slowed down in the second part of the season, but had some vital goals from in the first part of the season. Have they actually improved their team? I don't think they have. Obviously, Ashley Williams, the captain, is the big loss. He's gone to Everton, and even though they've got some good players in, that's a big hole to fill. In 13th place, I'm going with Bournemouth. Now, getting Jack Wilshere on loan from Arsenal is a big scalp for that team, and fair play to them. As long as he stays fit, it's a good move, but that's a big question mark. They also got Jordan Ibe, another good young English player. The sale of Matt Ritchie to Newcastle still surprises me. I think he was one of their better players last season. I think they could have used him this year. In general, though, I don't think Bournemouth squad's gone to a huge new level, and let's face it, the clubs have got a lot of money to spend. That's why we're seeing a lot of big names and a lot of purchases from all the clubs this year. And I know Bournemouth want to be kind of, conservative with what they do because it's a new thing for them in the Premier League. They don't want to spend loads and loads of money, which I understand. So they're around the mid-table mark. mark, but I think that's fair. In 12th place, I'm going with Middlesbrough. They've done the best out of the newly promoted teams. I think they're going to be fine this year. Negredo scored goals in the Premiership before with, obviously, Man City. I think he'll do well for them. Callum Chambers on loan from Arsenal. Solid. I don't think he's like the best complete defender yet, but I think he's going to improve their defence for sure, and he's versatile as well. The team that's had the 11th best window for me is Leicester. Now, they've bought some really good people, including Slimani on deadline day for a record fee. He scored loads of goals in Portugal, and obviously he's got that Algerian connection with Riyad Mahrez as well, so he could hit the ground running alongside the likes of Vardy and Musa, who they've already bought, of course, who's not actually smashed it yet in the Premier League, but we know what he can do. They bought a few other boys as well, including Mendy, who was kind of like a like-for-like replacement for Kante. At least that's what Ranieri hoped for. I just don't think Kante's that easily replaceable, and it's because they lost Kante that I'm putting him so far down on the leaderboard here in sort of mid-table position, because he's such a hard person to replace. He was the unsung hero of their title winning form last year, and yeah, that's a big hole to fill. So they've done well, and keeping hold of all those boys is always going to be close to impossible. So they shouldn't feel bad. They've done their best, but they have to face it, they've lost one of the best players. In 10th place, I'm going with Everton. They've been very busy this window under new manager Ronald Koeman. Obviously, the sale of John Stones was huge. Now, on the surface, I think this was a good sale for Everton and a good buy for City, because he wasn't playing that well for Everton, didn't have a great year last year. They got a lot of money for him, close to 50 million, and with that money, they were able to get Ashley Williams in, who right now, in my opinion, is a better centre-back than John Stones. I think for years to come, he's going to be amazing for City, John Stones, but right now, I don't think their team's got worse because of that departure. However, the rest of the money they spent, I'm not sure they spent it that wisely. I mean, they dodged a bullet by not buying Sissoko, in my opinion. But Balassi, who I like, I don't actually think he's that efficient, though. I don't think he'll get that many goals or assists. And I think you need that if you're going to spend 25 million on a player. In 9th position, I'm going with Arsenal. Now, this is actually a massive improvement for them. This time last year, I think I ranked them 19th or 18th in the league in terms of transfer window business, because they only bought in Czech when they needed a lot more than that. Having said that, they did finish second last year, and this time round they have reinforced the positions they need. So I've got to give Arsene Wenger credit. They needed a centre-back and a striker ideally, and they got both those things. I think Mustafi's a really good buy, 24 years old, long career ahead of him at centre-back. He'll be good for them. This Perez guy up front, don't know a lot about him, and it cost about 17 million. I think some Arsenal fans are getting a bit carried away with him. Bear in mind, he's 27 years old, never played for Spain, never played in the Champions League before, not really the sort of calibre player he should be bringing. For me, for Arsenal to be, up there in this transfer window, they needed to get a Lacazette or an Aubameyang or a Higuain, a striker of that calibre, which I think is what the Arsenal fans deserve by now. So I think, obviously, Xhaka was a great buy. He did it early on in the window, which is unlike Wenger. But fair play to him for getting that in. So he's definitely improved the team. And no real massive departures. Wilshere obviously leaving on loan along with Chambers, but they weren't going to start this year, in my opinion. Wilshere maybe would have come off the bench. Chambers would have filled in when people get injured. But their team has got better. But I think they're only about the 9th best window in the league. In 8th position, I'm going with Spurs. Okay, now, what I like about Spurs and Pochettino is he's got a young squad, and he's not gone, I need to buy loads of people. He actually likes it, and they're actually going to be better without buying anyone, because they've all got a year older and more experience, the likes of Dele Alli, these young players. But he's brought in some quality. Janssen did really well in the Eredivisie in Netherlands. He's a good little either substitute option for Harry Kane or a second striker or whatever. Wanyama, nicking him from Southampton, clever. Weakened them, strengthened him. Good CDM option. On deadline day, they've got Nkudu, and they've got Lopez, the goalkeeper, and of course, Sissoko. Now, as much as Sissoko has some really good games in the Euros, I just remember watching him last year and thinking he did not want to be there at Newcastle. He was only playing well when the TV cameras were rolling, and for £30 million, I don't think they're going to see that value out of Sissoko. I could be wrong, but for me, if he was going to come to my club, I wouldn't want to pay more than 20 million for him, based on what I've seen of him in the past. So I think they maybe overspent a little bit there. They sold some players as well, obviously. Got Chadley off the books. Bentaleb, Fazio, Mason, all really weren't going to be in Pochettino's first team plan. So I think they've had a solid window in 8th place, just not the best. In 7th place, I'm going with Liverpool. Now, this was always going to be a very big transfer window for Liverpool and Jurgen Klopp, because it's his first summer transfer window in charge of the club. His chance to put his stamp on the squad. And he's done that. He's brought in a lot of Bundesliga players that he knows about, the likes of Matip, decent young centre-back. Karius, the goalkeeper, very good year last year in the Bundesliga. They needed a new goalkeeper. Mignolet obviously deputising at the moment because Karius is injured. Sadio Mane, massive purchase. I think he's going to do really well for them. He's already started really well this year. Real depth in that sort of attacking midfield area now. Also, Wijnaldum from Newcastle, again, I like him more than Sissoko personally. They lost some big names. You know, they lost Skirtle, who's been at the club for a long time. Kolo Touré, Joe, Allen, Balotelli. But this was people that were surplus to requirements for Jurgen Klopp. So he's got rid of them and he's reshaped this team into a Jurgen Klopp team. And that's why I think he's had the 7th best window. In 6th, I'm going with Crystal Palace. Now, I think they've had a great window and you could arguably say they've done better than 6th. There's a few reasons why I haven't put them right at the top though. First of all though, they got in Benteke. They needed some striking help. You know, their strike force options were weak, especially after Adebayor and Dwight Gale left. Benteke was mugged off by a lot of people last year. He's a good striker. He's going to score goals for them for sure. Loic Remy as well has come from Chelsea, so suddenly their striking options are a lot stronger. Adding to that, Townsend, another player sold by Newcastle. Mandanda, the French goalkeeper, very decent. James Tompkins is solid. I think they overpaid for a couple of those boys, though, particularly Tompkins. We did really well to get 10 million for Tompkins, I think. So I think their team's good. They did, of course, lose Balassi, who was a big player for them. They got a lot of money for him, yes, but Townsend was really a replacement. He wasn't an addition in that sense. But basically, I think they had a great window, but because of the money they've spent, they've put pressure on themselves for these guys to perform. And if it doesn't work out straight away, it's going to get a little bit squeaky bum time for Palace. But I think they've done well. In 5th place, I'm going with my boys West Ham. I think we've had a solid window, brought in lots of quality. Andre Ayew, I like him a lot. Shame he got injured. Zaza from Juventus. Again, he did that silly penalty in the Euros. But if you look at his stats, he scores goals. We've been really unlucky with injuries because Fegouli's been out as well, but he's going to be big for us. And there's loads more players we've brought in as well, all of which have strengthened our team dramatically. And in terms of sales, we got really good money for James Tompkins. We managed to get Enner Valencia off the wage bill in the last few seconds by loaning him out to Everton. So I'm pretty happy with our window. The only way it could have been improved for me would be if we'd got 1 or 2 marquee signings. Maybe instead of an Ayew, you know, we tried to get a Lacazette, but realistically, maybe we were overreaching, particularly as we didn't even get into the Europa League. So considering the quality of our team before the window and now, I'm happy with it. The 4th best window is going to Chelsea. What I like about the players they've brought in is they've added in every position. You know, they haven't had to get rid of someone. They've brought in really good players. Kante being the main one of the best players in the league last year. They've nicked him off the title winners, and he's gone straight into that central defensive midfield role, and he's made them so much more solid than they were last season. David Luiz is back. Now, he has errors in him, of course he does, but he also has a banger in him. And what I like about him as a neutral, as a non-Chelsea fan, is that he makes games exciting either way. He's great to watch. He's great for the Premier League that he's back. And let's face it, they did quite well out of it because they sold him for 50, bought him back for 30. Batshuayi is a young striker, and the fact they've got him and they kept Diego Costa makes their attacking options scarily good. And they got this Alonso guy as well, who in the Premier League previously at Sunderland didn't really set the world alight, but he was very young. He's gone away, got experience at Fiorentina. Now, obviously, Conte likes him, and their team has got a lot stronger. And the 3rd best window goes to Stoke City. Not loads of big signings, and I've only put obviously the key signings here and the key departures here. But the people they brought in have really improved the areas they needed to improve. Joe Allen, solid player, was undervalued at Liverpool. He's going to really come through for Stoke, I'm sure he will. Martins Indy has been doing really well for Porto for a long time and for the Netherlands, and he's going to add a lot of quality to the centre-back partnership. But the big one was Wilfried Bony, okay? Wasn't getting the game time at Man City, but we know what he can do from his time at Swansea. I wanted him at West Ham. He's gone to Stoke. They needed a striker. They've been playing Diouf up there, who I don't think is as good as the players around him, the likes of Arnautovic, Bojan, Shaqiri. Now they've got that fairy on top of the Christmas tree, Bony, that all these other players can feed the ball into. I think they could be dangerous. Well done, Mark Hughes. Plus, the players they've lost, they're not that big names. They're not game changers. They've not lost any key characters, in my opinion. The 2nd best window is going to go to Manchester City. They spent a crazy amount of money on some very good players. I think out of the people they brought in, the one that we're going to see come through the most this season is going to be Nolito. I think he's going to get a lot of goals for City. He's already started. I think John Stones is going to be a huge addition for them for the next 10 years. Bravo is a good goalkeeper, of course he is, and he's come from Barcelona. Joe Hart went the other way, obviously, leaving to go to Torino, and Joe Hart's won the title with them twice. Good keeper. Bravo is probably better, and he has that kind of football playing goalkeeper role that the Joe Hart can't really do to Pep's satisfaction. So they've improved in that area, but largely they've got rid of a lot of people as well. You know, Mangala's gone out on loan, Nasri's gone out on loan. Wilfried Bony obviously has gone as well. They've added a lot of quality, but they've also lost some people that would have been in and around the starting lineup potentially. Gabriel Jesus, they spent a lot of money on him, and he could be a big player in the future. I'm not sure how much we'll see of him this year. Leroy Sané, massive season in the Bundesliga last year, one of the most successful young players players. He's come over to City. Again, I'd like to see more of him. We haven't seen him much yet. He should be back soon though, and Raheem Sterling's been in good form anyways. They're going to push each other for competition, which will only make the team better. Gundogan, great player. If they can keep him fit, game changer. So overall, a great window for Man City, which you'd expect when they spend this sort of money they have, and they've got Pep Guardiola, one of the best managers in the world, to attract good players. But they did not have as good a window as the team that I think had the best window, Manchester United. The reason Man United had the best window is simple. They only brought in 4 players, but all of them go straight into their first team. They all massively improved their first team. The difference in their team quality now from last year is huge. They went from being probably the 4th or 5th best squad in the league to the best, in my opinion. Certainly the best starting 11. Ibrahimovic on a free transfer. Pogba, yes, the world's most expensive player ever, but what a player to bring in, right? Mkhitaryan, so good in the Bundesliga last year, and we haven't even seen him really in the Premier League yet. He's gonna set the world alight once he starts getting started. And obviously Eric Bailly as well, who's a silent sort of purchase. No one really saw it coming, but again, shoring up that defence. Those key areas that needed improving. Mourinho's just gone bang, 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 done. And the players he's sold, all players that weren't really going to have much game time under Mourinho. You know, no key players. He's even kept the likes of Mata and Fellaini that we were sure he'd be selling. So his squad is so strong. Yes, they spent a lot of money, but they spent it on players that improve their team right now. They go straight in there. And obviously that's why I tipped them to win the league in my Premier League predictions. Pretty soon we've got the Manchester Derby coming up, which is going to be huge. Aguero might be banned for it though. So Man United have got a chance to take that initiative. It's going to be really interesting. Okay, it's been a great transfer window. I've enjoyed it. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below which club you think had the best window. If you massively disagree with me, let me know. Maybe you agree with me. Let me know about that as well. Drop a like on the video if you enjoyed it. Don't forget the Wembley Cup final is going to be live streamed on this channel from 7:15. The live stream starts. 7:30 is kickoff. So get ready, get comfortable, and just enjoy the game. Hopefully my boys will win it. We'll have to wait and see. I'll see you soon. Subscribe for more. Don't go changing.